Hello there. A clear clash of ideas, a clear choice for the French people. Turnout is said to be high as France decides who will be its next president.
The Conservative candidate Nicolas Sarkozy had a lead in the polls over the socialist contender Ségolène Royal ahead of the vote. But the first projections on who's won won't be available for a few hours yet.
We'll be live in Paris in just a few moments for the very latest. But first, here's Nazanin Mashiri.
Confident as ever, Nicolas Sarkozy, the presidential frontrunner, jumped the queue to cast his vote. As he rushed out to his car, he did pause briefly to greet supporters, who turned out in his hometown Neuilly near Paris. On the other side of France, Ségolène Royal had her own moment in the spotlight. With her trademark smile, she too oozed confidence. They'll both be pleased of what's been a huge rush to vote. The turnout shows the strength of feeling about this election. Virginie Resch made up her mind weeks ago. She believes Nicolas Sarkozy is the only candidate worth voting for.
I think everybody is very excited by this election. That's a great surprise this time, that everybody is very into it. And, well, to me, I hope that the candidate, Mr. Sarkozy, will win.
Virginie is a Sarkozy supporter in what is largely a socialist area of Paris. There are fears here that if Sarkozy wins, there will be violence in the suburbs. Why did you vote for Ségolène Royal?
Because I think it's going to be a big mess if Nicolas Sarkozy is president.
Tous ces propos, tous ces mots.
All his words, all his proposals can incite hatred and could lead, I think, if not to riots, then at least to big protests.
Inside these voting booths, people have a clear choice. Both candidates have very different ideas about how to put the country back on track. If the first round's turnout is anything to go by, a record number of people will be walking into France's 85,000 or so polling stations. This electoral campaign has breathed life back into French politics. This is a country hungry for change, and change is exactly what it's going to get. Nazanin Mashiri, Al-Jazeera, Paris.
Let's go live now to Paris and to Stephen Cole. Stephen, why is this election so important for France?
Mariam, it's important because in the minds of many French people, the country is in the doldrums. And that means the candidate who can really convince the French public he or she has what it takes to raise Gallic pride and restore France's belief in itself will win this election. At the moment, that person looks very much like Nicolas Sarkozy. French self-confidence has been battered by a steady flow of bad news, both domestically and internationally. There's worry the country has lost its influence in an enlarged European Union, that its voice is quieter on the world stage, despite the highlight when Jacques Chirac defied America over Iraq. And that the influence of the language is shrinking as France's sway over French-speaking Africa declines. There was anger and disbelief when Paris lost to London in its bid to host the 2012 Olympics, and bitter disappointment when the irascible Zinedine Zidane threw away France's Football World Cup dream last year. Even more incredibly, French wine is losing ground to New World wines.
And Stephen, aside from all that, whoever wins this election, it seems they'll have some tough personal choices to make.
Indeed, France's 45 million voters are being given a choice between two odd couples. Sarkozy and his wife Cecilia's marriage apparently, reportedly collapsed mid-campaign. Mrs. Sarkozy is thought to have spent part of the last few weeks in Florida. It's been reported around the world and on the net, but has hardly been mentioned here. Ségolène Royal's relationship with her partner of 25 years, François Hollande, they have 4 children, has also been subject to speculation, including some saying he should have been the candidate for president, not her. And he's already saying he won't be moving into the Elysée as first gentleman if she wins.
Now, Nicolas Sarkozy seems to have been the favourite to win from the very beginning. Is the outcome of the election a foregone conclusion, or is Royal in with a chance?
No, but yes, but no. Or, to put it this way, Mr. Sarkozy has been ahead in the polls, and I think there have been about 100 of them since the beginning. It's looking increasingly likely that he will be the next president of the Fifth Republic. But remember, that's only the polls and not a result. But the polls here in France do have a reputation for accuracy. The first round was hard to call. 12 candidates began. That's come down to 2. making a return to bipolar French politics. It's the politics of the second round and what might well happen afterwards, which is proving most interesting. What we're seeing here is the invention of centre politics, social democratic politics, and the end of the extremist left and the far right politics. And that's all from Paris from me for the moment. We'll bring you the result, of course, just as soon as we get it in a few hours' time. But in the meantime, it's back to you, Mariam, in Doha.
Thanks very much, Stephen. Stephen Cole, live there in Paris.
Let's move on to Turkey now, another presidential election which is as uncertain as ever, with the only candidate withdrawing from the race after he failed to win the support of Parliament. Foreign Minister Abdullah Gül from the ruling AK party has faced fierce opposition from secular groups. A vote in Parliament last month was annulled after an opposition boycott prevented the required two-thirds quorum being reached. And similar action on Sunday meant a rerun could not go ahead. Our correspondent Barnaby Phillips is in Istanbul. He says the pressure from the opposition really left the AK party with no other choice.
Turkey's parliament failed again today to elect a new president. No surprise, and a clear defeat for the governing AK party in the face of political pressure from the opposition, which again boycotted today's proceedings, in the face of strong opposition from the demonstrations we've been covering across the country in recent days, and perhaps crucially in the face of opposition from the Turkish military, which made it clear that it would not accept Abdullah Gül as a president. So where do we go from here? Mr. Gül is quoted as saying that he has withdrawn his candidacy. What is not entirely clear is whether he has also withdrawn if the AK party can succeed in changing the constitution and having a new popular vote for a president. Who would the AK party's candidate be then? Mr. Gül has been quoted in the past as saying he's confident that he would win any popular vote. A great deal of uncertainty here, as you can tell. The only thing that we do know for certain, or perhaps for certain, is that Turks will go to the polls at the end of July the 22nd to be specific, to elect a new parliament. The AK party is still confident of its democratic mandate despite today's setback, and hoping it can dominate a new parliament and carry on governing this country as it has done since 2002.
There are conflicting reports over the fate of the Kenya Airways plane which disappeared in Cameroon on Saturday. Local media say the wreckage has been found, but aviation officials say these reports are premature. They say signs of the plane, which was carrying 114 people, have been found, but they've not given any further details. Radio reports say the jet has been located near Beng, 130 kilometres south of the capital. The plane was travelling from Ivory Coast to Kenya with a stopover in Cameroon. It disappeared from radar just 10 minutes after taking off. In the Kenyan capital, Nairobi, meanwhile, anxious relatives attended prayer services as they waited for news of their loved ones. Kenya Airways has set up a crisis centre at a hotel there. Gabby Menezes, who's following the rescue operation from Douala in Cameroon, said this latest development comes after the search area was widened, but the rescue team is still encountering difficulties.
It was announced on public radio that some of the wreckage may have been found, but this is yet to be confirmed. We believe that if the wreckage has been found, it's in the southeast of Cameroon, where it's believed to the plane has been disappeared. Now, search operations were concentrated in the town of Lolando, but it appears that they were widened out this morning because they didn't think that the plane was there, and it's finally been found. But reports, as I say, are sketchy, and we're really waiting to have some government and official announcement that the plane has been found. It's a mystery why the plane's emergency transmitter has been turned off. Normally on a Kenya Airways plane, there should be some system where once the plane crashes, the emergency transmitter continues to emit a signal for about 2 days. But this hasn't happened. Basically, there was only one emergency transmission that was received after the plane had crashed, and then it turned off. So it's been really difficult to find this plane. And added to that is the area where the plane is believed to have crashed. It's a heavily wooded area. There's been heavy rainfall, which has hampered the search parties, as well as fog. So it's been a very difficult operation here for the Cameroonian government.
And there's been another air accident, this one in Egypt's northern Sinai region. Now, 8 United Nations monitors died in the plane crash. That's according to an Egyptian security official. The plane went down about 50 kilometres north of the town of Nakhl on the Sinai Peninsula.